Our next testifier is Bernard Gilles, Directeur Principal of, excuse me, I'm pronouncing my French badly, Directeur Principal of Revenu Quebec, and I'm sure they will have many answers about what Quebec has done and learned and where they're going. And also on behalf of all of the United States, we want to make sure that the people of Canada know how much we like them, because some of us may need to move there soon if something goes wrong in this country in November. So yes, we're just always keeping our options open to our neighbors in the north.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Gilles Bernard, as you said, and I'm with Samy Jabot, Director of the Tax Evasion Control Unit. First of all, hello, Senator Cougar, thank you for giving us the opportunity to present our project. It's an honor for my organization, for Quebec's government, and for sure for us.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
We have a short video of 1 minute 30 seconds, and after that, I'll do a presentation of 10 minutes.
The Resto Project was created to wipe out tax evasion and under-the-table work in Quebec's restaurant sector, which cost an estimated $419 million in tax revenue every year. The main goal of this project was to reduce the loss of tax revenue in the restaurant sector by requiring restaurateurs to report their real sales figures and remit all the taxes paid by their clients to the government. 10 years of research and effort led to the creation of the Sales Recording Module, SRM, a device developed by Revenu Quebec. Installed in most Quebec restaurants, the SRM is an ultra-secure microcomputer which receives data, records transactions in its secure memory, and transmits the information required to print bills. Since 2011, the project helped bring in over $160 million, $60 million more than expected. It covered the costs related to the 10 years of research that led up to the project, the 3 years of work required to implement the project, and the subsidies offered to restaurateurs.
Okay, I'm sorry about the video. There was
it's all right.
Okay. But it was working in Montreal, but maybe in the car, you know.
We seem to be having technical problems.
Our roads are not too good, so maybe
that's okay.
So I propose the following agenda: a short introduction, the project itself, the results, and if you have any questions, I'll be pleased to answer them. If we take a quick look on our province, it's the largest Canadian province. We represent 23% of Canada's population. As you can hear, there is almost 80% native French speakers. The gross domestic product represents 20% of Canada's GDP, and $1 Canadian represents 75 cents US. All the numbers are in Canadian. Concerning the administration of the sales tax, under an agreement, Revenu Québec administers the GST, the federal tax, in Quebec. The goods and services tax and the Quebec sales tax are collected on sales or supplies of most property and services. The GST is calculated at a rate of 5%. The Quebec sales tax is calculated at a rate of 9.975%. In short, we administrate and collect all the sales tax in Quebec, and for sure we have our own income tax act too. Now a brief review of the tax losses. The underground economy represents 4.2% of the GDP. Losses in government revenue are estimated at $3.5 billion, but it's only for income and tax, the provincial tax and provincial income. So please keep in mind, everybody, for sure, that it may be $7 billion in Quebec if you add the federal tax and federal tax to Income Tax Act. The losses are concentrated in certain sectors. Without any surprise, the construction sector, with 42.9% of the 3.5 billion for Quebec sales tax and Income Tax Act 2. And the tax evasion rate is 13.7%. For the restaurant sectors, the percentage is 12%. It means 420 million per year. But the tax evasion rate is 17.5%. If we continue a little bit, if you look at the taxi sector, without any surprise, the tax evasion rate is 60%. It's cash money. But it represents only 2.1%. Why create this project? To reduce annual tax losses, income tax and sales tax. We estimate these losses at 420 million. But on this 420 million, there was 136 million of Quebec sales tax perceived, but not remitted to the government by the restaurant's owner. I'm sorry about that, but it was like this in Quebec. And in Quebec, it's a kind of robbery when you collect taxes and not remit it to the government. So we want to ensure tax fairness because there is unfair competition. Mm-hmm. Some restaurateurs try to respect the laws, but not everybody. So we want to ensure that tax paid by customers are remitted to the government and to foster healthy competition. Surprisingly, some key players in the industry support us, but only when we demonstrate that the tax losses were real. That was true, not maybe. And when we tell them that we were serious. But to be serious, we needed the political level. And I have three images in my mind when we convinced our deputy minister and the government. First one, we demonstrate that the tax losses are real and it was conservative numbers. Secondly, we show them a prototype. I remember when the deputy minister touched the machine, he said, go. And the third one, he's not here anymore, but a few years ago, Professor Ainsworth gave an interview to the New York Times. And he explained the problem, and he said that in Quebec they're doing something. So I photocopied the article and gave it to the deputy minister. He said, okay, we'll do the project. It's true.
You needed to
I'm
beat us to
witness,
the
so I have
punch.
to tell the truth. So, scope of the problem. We confirmed the problem using a representative sample of restaurants. Inspectors went into restaurants as clients and bought meals, 10 times for each selected restaurant. It was not good for their cholesterol, but they did it. They made unannounced visits to find the meals they bought in the sales recording system, point of sale or something like that. This step was necessary to ensure the project was politically accepted, to document how income was underreported, and to accurately evaluate tax losses. The pertinence of the solution. We demonstrated the impact of the problem on government finances, on fair competition, and on the restaurant sector's employee, loss of social benefits. We showed the limitation of the methods that were being used by tax administration body to deal with the problem. You know, an audit before the program took us 220 hours for a restaurant. An inspection of book and register took us 70 hours. It's a lot of time and a lot of people. Now it's not like this anymore. We see it in a few minutes. And we acquired, as I said, the political support needed for the success of the project. If we take a look of the project, It's a 3 years of implementation. 33,000 sales recording modules, we'll see it in a few minutes, were installed in 20,000 establishments. It took us 14 months. The implementation cost, internal cost, 34 million. The subsidy program, 53 million. Please keep in mind that maybe in a few weeks we will make a call of interest for everybody to modernize our system. Because I said, as Professor Ainsworth said, the real-time solution is good. We have to go there. It is a temporary program to help the owner to upgrade their equipment to comply with the new obligation using a SRM, Sales Recording Model. The government pay 100% of the SRM. It's about one presently, not in few months, 1,200. And we paid the cost associated with updating or installing a cash register or a printer compatible with the SRM. That's the subsidy program. It's a temporary. It's a four-part project. First of all, the obligation to provide a bill. Secondly, obligation to produce bills using the SRM. You need inspection activities. We'll see it in a few minutes. That's the keystone of the project, inspection. And for sure, we put in place public awareness campaign. 3 elements are necessary to produce a bill. At the center, you have the SRM. The SRM receive data, register data, and send data to the receipt printer. And these data are from the point of sale system and cash register. You see the NL computer. The NL computer is for the inspector. You know, it's like a telephone, you know?
Like a cell phone.
Cell phone,
Right.
that's it. This computer allows reading barcode on invoice and also the validation of the signature on the invoice. This audit can detect all fraud attempts. For example, no invoices produced on a Saturday night. It is used to retrieving information stored in the SRM. And with an USB key can download, the person can download the information. And after that, at the office, compare these data with the data that the restaurant owners produce to them. And you can compare this information and with the purchases too. Let's take a look on the sale recorder model. I have a copy of the bill maybe for you, because I will explain something.
Okay, here, Brad will, oh,
Don't look at the number of the beers.
okay,
Look. And the most important thing is this.
got it. You have it in your paperwork.
So at the heart of the solution, it is the SRM. As I said, it records sale, transmits sales information to print bills bearing a barcode, as you see, and a digital signature that guarantee that each bill is authenticity. It creates standardized accounting records for all restaurants in Quebec. That's a big gain. It produces sales summaries that must be sent to Revenu Québec each month by the restaurant owner. And it collects data from all Quebec restaurants, which is stored in our central database and analyzed to help detect attempts at tax evasion. The bill produced by the SRM contains a series of elements. Total amount of tax, federal and provincial. We did not receive any money from the federal, but don't say it. Date and time producing of the invoice, information of the restaurant, and a unique signature guaranteeing the authenticity of the bill. To do so, We modified the act respecting the Quebec sales tax. So we list the various obligations for the restaurant owner. We modify regulation respecting the Quebec sales tax. It provides further details in this regulation. And we modify the Tax Administration Act. We list in this act the various penalties or fine if the owners fail to comply. Key success factors for our project, but maybe it could apply to the other project. We demonstrate the existence of the problem. Demonstrate technological capability using prototype to gain political support. We conduct a 6-month pilot project to evaluate the impacts the new measures could have on restaurant operation. I remember that big players in the industry told us that it would be difficult to remit a bill. But with this pilot project, we demonstrate that there was no problem, operationally speaking. We create working committees and collaborate closely with various partners and organizations of the restaurant sector. We put in place a support team for a restaurant operator, and this team is still working. And the most important thing, I didn't write it, do not underestimate the resistance in your own organization. The result now, it's a success. I'm sorry. On March 31st, 2015, Quebec government had recovered over 940 million in lost taxes. By 2018-19, Quebec will have recovered 2.1 billion. And there is other benefits too. If you wait, yes. Wait. The cost to inspect a restaurant has decreased from $4,400 to $190. An inspection that used to take 70 hours for the book and register now take only 3 hours. The number of annual inspections has increased from 120 to 8,000, and most of the work can be done electronically with minimal disruption to the business. When the Deputy Minister announced the project, Senator Kruger, he was not alone. He was in a restaurant, and there was a few key players with him, because there is unfair competition.
Right.
And it's not only a thing of Zapper. It is a priority at Revenu Québec, but not the first one. What is important is the data and the invoice. That's it. It's not only sales tax problem. It's an under-declared income or undeclared income. Mm-hmm. It's not only Zapper and not only a question of sales tax. And a few weeks ago, since February 1st, 2016, all operators of bars and resto bars are also required to meet the same obligation. So close to 6,200 establishments have a SRM. Today, I can tell you that 96% of the bartenders have installed their SRM. Annual tax losses are 76 million, and we will recover 42 million in lost taxes per year. At the end, what I can say, this kind of things, for us, it's a solution for the future. We're working not in the past, but for the future. Let's see, we didn't, concerning the amnesty, you asked for amnesty. What we said to the restaurant owner before the project, when we implement the project, we told them, for sure, by random, maybe we will make some audit, but we're not there. We're working for the future. And as I said, the main difficulties we had, it was internal difficulties. We have some, at the operational level, they said, oh, we won't make any audit anymore. I know, you do it. But, and for sure, in a few months or few years, it will be the same concept, but not necessarily the same technology.
Right.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do have a few questions.
Yes.
So you started with restaurants, now you're going to bars.
Yes.
Are you planning to go to other businesses as well? You had done your own analysis of your projection of, I guess, lost tax revenue. Do you see this model as having some equivalency in other parts of retail? I guess it's a little tricky to picture it in construction. I'm not sure
Okay.
how I visualize that.
I received a mandate from the government to analyze the situation and to do a recommendation concerning other sectors. But since a few weeks ago, we put in place a new measure concerning the construction sector. It's completely different. When you give a contract in construction, you have to ask your subcontractor to give you a certificate. The certificate is from Internet, from Revenu Québec, and it's saying that he's okay with his tax and he produced all the forms. It's an obligation in the construction sector. But in other sectors, let's say in taxi industry, we're working for a model, SRM, something like that, in the taxi. Why taxi? Because there is 60% tax evasion, but more than that, there is some people who works really, really hard, but they don't have a lot of money. It's a kind of exploitation. It's not normal that in Montreal, you rent a taxi cab for 1 week, $600. It's a lot of money. So you will hide some taxes. So we're working with the industry, taxi industry, for maybe a few months or a year to implement this kind of model in the taxi.
So I'm going to be particularly interested in that when you figure it out, because as you were speaking and I was looking at your data, we are shifting in the United States, and I'm going to guess there's something parallel in Canada, to all kinds of taxis and liveries and car sharing, Uber, Lyft,
Uber,
all the terms.
Uber, yes.
But really the point is it's all phone app driven.
Wait.
Right, as opposed to just stand on a corner, wave, and come in and give them cash. And so the potential for actually tracking exactly who is paid what becomes very, very real in cab, livery, Uber-type world, because your credit card drives the app, which drives your being picked up and you pay. So all that information is there. They, whoever they are, have it. And the question of, can government track that for proper tax collection? I think it's a fascinating new
Yes, but
assignment.
I think it's possible to do it, because maybe it's not the right term, but if you implement a kind of black box, and that the invoice, it's an obligation to ask for an invoice. So you will have in few years in Quebec an inspector who will take the cab. He will ask for the invoice and he will read the barcode.
Right.
Or Uber, he can call Uber or a pizza. After that, he go to the restaurant, and after that to the bar. So he will make 3 inspections in one day. So I think it's possible. Wait.
It's fascinating. And then another point that you highlight is how, and it was a question I had for others, and I'm fascinated to hear from you, that you've radically reduced the cost and hours and time involved with inspecting and auditing restaurants, so that you're getting this significant win in revenue collection and in making it clear everybody's supposed to follow the same rules and,
Right.
have an even playing field for their business, but you're also radically reducing the amount of time you have to spend as government tracking this, which also means, though, those businesses are spending radically less time having to deal with
Oui.
you showing up,
True.
right?
It's true, yes. And as I said earlier, some key players support us. And when we start in the restaurant sector, some key players told us, hey, you have to go to the bar. Now we are in the bar, and now we have to go in other sectors too.
And as you described it, you haven't necessarily been so concerned about the zappers and the other forms of software intercepting the information, hence avoiding the taxes. Does your system track that at all?
Our system is based on the inspection. When the inspector read the barcode, it's a proof that what he see on his bill, it's in the SRM. And the SRM, if you open it, you will have a trace. It will leave something that, oh, he opened the SRM. So, for sure, there is some kind of zapper. Let's say, for example, some restaurant owner, they can have two SRM, a fake one, a real one. That's why we need the inspection. Understand? Sammy, you want to add something?
It's about the inspection. It's very easy. The inspector go to the restaurant and look at if the owner remit the invoice to the customer. It's very easy.
You have a penalty if you don't want
And
to remit
if
the-
I don't see this, this kind of, I can come and see, what they have. It's very easy inspection. And it's, they don't know who is the inspector and who is not the inspector. That's mean, it's very easy to see and if they're gonna use the zapper, there is a lot of sanction, about it. And I can detect it as an inspector right away if there is a zapper or something like this.
And concerning cash money versus electronically paying, you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Right. Thank you. Also, what I can say is when we announced the project, we saw in a lot of establishment appeared ATM machine in the establishment. So the cash money will always exist. And it's true that for certain restaurant, 90% is by Visa. But there is a lot of restaurants with 20, 25%, 50%.
And there is some restaurants that don't have cash register.
And, I'm sorry.
So you probably then determine you need to audit them more often if they're so out of the norm with other restaurants and
For
say
sure, we
bars?
have the information.
Right. And so if they pay in cash, there's no way your system doesn't really work for that.
Oh, yes, because if they pay cash, the restaurant owner have to remit an invoice.
The invoice
And
is
we
the
have
key.
inspector.
Okay. And it's also barcoded and
for
it
sure.
goes through the same
The
system.
invoice is the key and with the inspection.
And
It's
you
easy.
know, wait,
You have to remit the invoice and the
Yeah.
inspector, you
Cash
don't know
or
when
electronic.
he's gonna come, Saturday, Friday, or...
And nobody's figured out how to fake the barcode to put different information on it?
comment ils ont truqué les barcodes? No.
We didn't see, honestly, this yet,
Okay.
but we are monitoring,
And
Didn't see it.
I have to add that in this sector, there's a lot of students who work in this sector and young people. And it was not acceptable that maybe it's your first job and you explain that you will receive for tonight 200 as a salary and maybe 100 undeclared income. It was like this, So it was not really acceptable. It's their first job, and and there was 17% of tax evasion. So for sure there was undeclared income, under declared income for the student, for the young people. too.
And does this system catch that in some way?
Sure, because you know, not at 100%, but you know that what is in the black box, this is the gross income of this restaurant. So he will make purchases. If he want to deduct his purchases or to deduct the salary, he needs some income.
Right.
And we have ratio and
And there is some ratio,
And it was brought up by a couple of the other testifiers that what is critical is not just the access to the data, but being able to keep the data either in an encrypted form or in some way so that you, the government, or we, the government, have that global data to look at and compare from time to time, from location A to C to D. Does your system allow you to keep that encrypted data available for yourselves?
yes, and for the restaurant owners too. This module, it's a book, it's a register. That's it, that's all.
it's accounting book.
And it's real time to you, to the government?
Not now for now with this one, but in 2 years, we're gonna have new technology, like Mr. Bernard said, and we're gonna receive it in real time.
Real time. In 2-3 weeks, I hope, we want to publish a call of interest to the firms, all the firms, to explain what is our project and what we want to do real time, and it would be very interesting what they will have to show us.
And what's the Canadian or the Quebec policy for how long restaurants and bars have to remit their sales tax to you?
How long to remit the sales tax?
How long? Do they do it on a quarterly basis like we do it here?
It depends
Your sales
the income.
figures.
Some companies monthly, some companies every 3 months, some company every 1 year.
But with this system, every month, they send us a summary of their sales. And it works.
It works. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Oh, I'm sorry, are the other provinces stealing your ideas and going down the
Yes,
same
Ontario,
road?
for
Ontario,
sure.
they're gonna,
They're really interesting to do this kind of things. Ontario for sure.
Uh-huh.
And the other one, they call us, but I don't know if they're serious. But Ontario is really serious. It's a big, big, big province. A lot of money in Ontario.
Well, thank you both so much for coming down to New York
Thank
today.
you very
Very
much.
much appreciate
Have a
your
good rest of the
sharing your
morning.
information.
Have a nice day.
thank you.
Thank you very much.